now. Can everyone see that? Perfect. So we'll get going. There might be a few more. Suzanne, you can just leave them in if they're coming in. So welcome everyone to the information session on Erasmus Plus sports mobility of staff in the field of sport. So we'll get going. So what we'll cover today, so what Erasmus Plus sport is, for those of you who are new to Erasmus Plus. We'll just go through a case study of a current project, give you more of an idea of what the project entails. The budget, we'll go through eligibility, so who can apply and how you can apply. Other funding options if this action isn't suitable to you, and how you can get started, so how you can apply for this action. So what is Erasmus Plus? So it's an EU programme that supports education, training, youth and sport in Europe. So the current programme runs from 2021 to 2027. And Largus, so we manage national and international programmes in those fields. So youth work, sport, education and training. And these include the Erasmus Plus programme and the European Solidarity Corps. So what's new for sport? So last year was our first year with the sport actions, was the first year having a dedicated fund in Erasmus Plus programme in Ireland for sport. And that was for one action. So that is the mobility of staff in the field of sport, which we'll get talking about in a few minutes. So what do we do? So Largus provides support throughout the life cycle of the project. So from the beginning, so from thinking of a project team to putting in the application, getting in the application form, to if you're successful with the project, we'll work with you to manage the project and to implement the learnings, to bring it back into your organisation. We help you with the final report stage and the beneficiary module, which is where you put in how the project, you put in the project details. So we work with you throughout the whole stage of the projects. We also help create project ideas through these workshops I've just mentioned. We have one coming up in January, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. And we also enhance the quality of work in relevant fields. We support people to attend thematic workshops and seminars in Ireland and abroad. So these are workshops or seminars that are kind of hosted by Erasmus Plus, other NEs in other countries, or an Erasmus Plus platform called Salto. So it's not really, if your organisation saw a seminar that you thought was relevant over in France to do with sport, disability in sport, we wouldn't really fund that. It's only seminars and workshops that are kind of run through Erasmus Plus. So they can be on different topics, but if they're suitable to participants in Ireland, we can send you over to those. So they're available on our website if you come up throughout the year. We also help bring people from all over Europe together to share and learn from each other. So through the projects or through these workshops or seminars. So we'll get into the action. So as I said, it's called Mobility of Staff in the Field of Sport. So KA182, just in case you see that somewhere, that's the code for this mobility. So what is it? So this funding is to give an opportunity to staff and volunteers in sports organisations to gain new skills by travelling abroad within Europe and spending time with a European partner. So who can take part in this? So sports staff. This means a person involved in the instruction, training and management of a sports team or individual sports people, either on a paid or voluntary basis. So coaches and other sports staff in sports organisations at grassroots level, volunteers in sport organisations. So this mobility, participants cannot engage in it in the capacity of athletes at the moment. So a group of athletes can't can't apply for this. It's only for sports staff at the moment. And there's a real emphasis on grassroots sports. So grassroots sports, this means physical leisure activities practiced regularly at non-professional level by people of all ages for health, educational or social purposes. So yeah, it's for sports staff, anyone involved in a sports team, sports organization, a volunteer or a paid. It's very, sorry, I just skipped ahead there. Okay, so what can participants get funded to do? So these are the two activities that you can apply for. So a job shadowing and or a coaching or training assignment. So the job shadowing, learning new practices and gathering new ideas through observation and interaction with peers, coaches, volunteers, or any sports staff in their daily work in the hosting organization. So this would be participants going over to another country, let's say France, and finding a partner over there that they kind of share the same objectives with, and spending up to from 2 to 14 days with them, learning through kind of job shadowing them through their training sessions or how they run their clubs or their organizations, just spending time kind of observing what they do. And this is from, you can go for 2 days up to 14 days. And then the other one is a coaching or training assignment. So this is a bit of a longer period, from 15 to 60 days. So participants can spend a period of time coaching or actually providing the training at the hosting organization in another country. So this is a bit different. The participants are actually providing that training. They're running training sessions, they're running camps, they're really like getting into the coaching in this one, and it's a bit longer. So you can pair these two together. You can do a job shadowing and a coaching or training assignment, or you could just do one of the activities. So this is just kind of a summary. I've kind of touched on all of it, but it's just a handy summary just to see there in front what the action entails, and it's just handy to have. I'll send out these slides, so it's nice to just see everything there. But who can apply? A public or private organization active in sports or physical activity at the grassroots level, or if you're a non-grassroots sport, you can also apply if staff participation benefits the grassroots sports. So who can participate? Sports staff, as I mentioned in the last slide. Where can you go? Any EU member state and any country associated with programs. So any EU member state, and also there's other countries associated to the program. So I think there's 6 or 7 of these, like Norway and Iceland and Turkey. So there's a few others. You can see all of this in more detail in the program guide, which I'll talk to you a bit about in a few minutes. So what can you do? The job shadowing and or the coaching or training assignment. Again, the job shadowing is kind of a shorter period. You're only going over to kind of observe what they do over there. That's from 2 to 14 days. And then the longer period, the 15 to 60 days, is the coaching or training assignment. So you're going and you're providing coaching or you're providing training over with your partner. So when can you apply? So the deadline is the 20th of February, 2024 at 11 a.m. for projects between June 2024 and December 2025. So this is our next deadline in a few months. So the duration, so it's from 3 to 18 months. So it's not just the duration of the mobility. It's not just the 4 days you go over job shadowing or the 20 days that you go on the coaching assignment. It's the whole period of the project. So the project consists of a planning stage, a preparation, implementation, and follow-up. So like planning, arranging the mobility, talking to your partner, getting a partner who's suitable, who's the best suited partner, preparation, booking those flights, getting the accommodation sorted, coming up with the objectives of what you're going to do on the actual mobility, the implementation, going on that mobility, and the follow-up is a big one. So what are you bringing back to your organization? What have you learned? And how are you going to show that to the rest of the organization or your club? So the next one then is the number of participants. So the maximum participants you can send in your club or organization is 10. So just a little summary of what the action is. And then, sorry. So the Erasmus Plus priorities. So what is this? What is these projects about? So the Erasmus Plus priorities are certain priorities across the whole Erasmus Plus program. So these are priorities that should be touched on through the project. So the first one is inclusion and diversity. So promoting inclusion and diversity, intercultural dialogue, solidarity, equal opportunities, and human rights. So this is the big one at the moment in Erasmus Plus, and I think in sport overall. So digital transformations, incorporating digital and virtual approaches. So this could be having Zoom meetings with the partner before you go over on the mobility, or capturing the learning of participants using videos or your phone, kind of interviewing. There's just being creative with the digital approaches. Participation, so promoting active citizenship, and then sustainability, environmental and climate goals. So organizations should incorporate the green practices and green project objectives. So all participants, all projects should raise awareness on each of these priorities. And then the next thing is the sport aims. So this is another thing that links in with the project. These come from the EU work plan from 2021 to 2024, I think. So this action should focus on grassroots sport, promote physical activity and a healthy lifestyle, social inclusion and equality, develop the European dimension in sport, build capacity of grassroots organizations, improve the knowledge and know-how of sport staff, promote EU values through sport, good governance and integrity in sport, and promote active and environment-friendly lifestyles and active citizenship. And then the last one, of course, just establishing that European network of coaches. So this is kind of aims that I think we are just focusing on through sport anyway in Ireland. So the project should anyway just touch on some of these aims. But I'll give you more examples of how the aims are put into the project. So these are previous project examples that we had last year. So you can see the last two slides, the project aims and the horizontal priorities, just kind of they link in with the teams of the projects that we've had. So I'll just go through a few just to give you an idea of what they were. So to motivate and nurture and inspire coaches, to retain young people, especially females, participating in sport. We had an anti-racism project, so focusing on building capacity of coaches to deliver anti-discrimination workshops through sport. Empowering women, so a lot on women in sport, and how to better develop women coaches. Making sport facilities and grounds more accessible to the disadvantaged groups, so touching on inclusion and diversity there. Recovering from COVID, so recovering from a loss of volunteers. Clubs found that their volunteer coaches just kind of left over COVID, and trying to get those volunteers back into the organisation. Learning new techniques, building coaches' confidence, and feeling a part of a European football community, creating more opportunities for disadvantaged groups to accessing sporting opportunities in outdoor activities, and building grassroots communities and becoming inclusive for all members. So a nice range of project topics there, and as I said, they all kind of just link into those horizontal priorities and the sport aims. So it's just something to keep in mind when you're thinking about the needs and why you're applying for this project. So now I'll just talk to you a small bit about a case study, so a current project we have going on at the moment, just to give you an idea of what the projects look like. So we had Portlaoise AFC apply at the start of the year for the mobility. This is a good example of like that grassroots kind of club and why they applied. So the club identified needs that they saw in their club, and they thought that this mobility would allow them to learn new techniques and just kind of build the coach's confidence and feel a part of that bigger European community. So Portlaoise are a local soccer club that they have, I think it's 180 underage, both girls and boys. Portlaoise did not have the correct legal status to contract with us at Largus, so they looked to Laois Sports Partnership to apply on their behalf. So we'll talk about this a bit more in a few minutes. Suzanne will talk about the eligibility status and contracting and all that. But yeah, Portlaoise sought out help from Laois Sports Partnership to apply on their behalf. They did a job shadowing activity, so 4 days to Belgium, partnering with Royal Belgium FA for 6 participants. So this was really interesting. Portlaoise, they sought out kind of a similar sports club over in Belgium through different contacts that they had, and they met through a seminar like 5 years ago in Ireland, and she thought that it linked well with this and what they were trying to do. So she got in contact with them, and they really worked together to see who was best suited for Portlaoise. So they kind of came up with the same amount of kids underage, the same kind of where they were based in Ireland and where they were based in Belgium, and what they were working towards. So they're very similar, and they're going to work well together. So the applicant has 4 objectives they are looking to achieve from this mobility. So learning different avenues for inclusive volunteer identification. So how people with different languages and different backgrounds can come in and work as volunteers in Ireland. So making it more accessible to people that are not from Ireland, who don't speak English, and how we can make them feel more welcome, and how they can work best in these environments. So coaching with kids. Creating an environment that will allow volunteer coaches to stay motivated and involved in the club long term. So they're not just coming as parents and staying for that cycle of a few months where the kid is in that age group. They want to stay longer, and the club is developing the coach. So they want to see how the club over in Belgium do that. Player retention through teenage years, and developing a suitable pathway for girls and social and player development. So the club over in Belgium, really, they found that they keep the girls through the teenage years, and they don't just drop off, which is interesting. So they're going to see how they do that. And I think it's more of like a social club and a social sport rather than a competitive league they play in. So it'll be really interesting to see the findings of this project. They're heading off in a few weeks. I think it's in January. So we're really excited to see how they do. But it's just a really good example of that grassroots sports, and how they focused on getting a partner that's really going to help them with their objectives, and that they weren't eligible to contract, and they sought out help from Laois Sports Partnership. So very exciting project. So then the budget, what most people want to know. So what are you getting funded for? So the budget categories are here on the left. So it's very specific budget. So it depends on where you're going, for how long you're going for, and how many participants are going. So it's not just a set amount that you're going to receive. So once you're applying for the project on the portal, once you put in how many people are going, where you're going, and for how long, it will do everything for you. So then it will tell you at the bottom of that how much you're getting. So we'll just kind of go through it here to give you a rough estimate. So the first thing is organizational support. So this is €350 per participant. This doesn't change no matter where you're going, how many people are going, how long. This is just a set amount that you get, €300 per participant for the project. The traveling. So depending on where you're going, it's different amounts. So the travel distance, 500 kilometers to 2,000 kilometers. I think this is the rough amount, the average that most went last on the current projects. So that's €309. If you go to somewhere further, it's I think 380 or something like that. So it goes up depending on where you go. So that's €309 you get for the flights. So there and back. If you have to get a train, like that's the whole amount you'll get. It's a set amount, and that's per participant. Then the individual support, again, is depending on where you go. So it's broken into groups of countries. So I just took it from group 1, which is €190 per participant per day. So I think group 1 is like France, Germany, Iceland, Norway. You can see this all on the program guide, and I think group 2 is maybe Croatia and a few of those countries, and that's a lower amount. So I think it's 180 per day. So yeah, the individual support is €191 per participant per day that you're going on the activity. So if you're going for 10 days, you'll get €191 per day per participant. And then the inclusion support. So if you have a participant going on the mobility that is a participant with fewer opportunities, they're eligible for a set amount of €125. There's also other funding there for them. If they are a participant with fewer opportunities, they can apply for for exceptional costs. So this is I haven't put this in there, but it's available, and there's loads of help and support available, both funding and from Largus, to help anyone with fewer opportunities to apply for these projects. So then the prep visit. So there's an opportunity to do a prep visit. So let's say you wanted to go over and meet the partner 2 months before the mobility to kind of set your objectives of the mobility with the partner and see what the facilities are like. A maximum of 2 participants from the project can apply for this. And this is €680. This is a set amount. It's just, if you want to go for a night, or if you want to go for a day or 6 days, you're getting €680 per participant for this. And then there's also linguistic support for €150 per participant. So yeah, it's not a simple just set amount. It kind of depends on all of that, but it's not as difficult and as confusing as it seems. Like once you start the application form, and it asks you a few questions, and it'll come up with the amount. So it's not as scary as it looks. So we'll just go, yeah, so we had our first deadline back in March, as I said, and we had 12 applications and 7 were successful. So we had successful applicants from national governing bodies, from local sports partnerships, and from sports clubs. So at the moment, we have 47 sports staff from all around Ireland that are currently off on their mobilities or going on their mobilities to different countries. So which is great. We had then a second deadline back in October, and we had 8 applications in for this. So we're still currently working on the selection for that round. So yeah, very exciting first year. And now I'll pass you over to Suzanne to go into the funding and the eligibility.
Thank you, Katie. Thanks very much. Okay, so I'm just going to take you through very, very quickly the opportunities that are available for the sports sector, but through the European Commission directly. So they're not managed by Largus. So the Commission has only decentralized one action, and that's the mobility of staff in the field of sport. So these other actions in the Erasmus Plus sports program, which can be found in the Erasmus Plus program guide that Katie will share with you all after today, are the following. So there's capacity building in the field of sport. So much larger amounts of money are available through these funds. Similarly, for the not-for-profit European sports events, these are quite large-scale sports events. The likes of UEFA have accessed these in the past, for example, and other smaller organizations too. But I suppose they are slightly bigger ones. Then there's cooperation partnerships and small-scale partnerships. And these are called KA2 projects. So these are our partnership projects. We run them in Lurgas for the other sectors, so for education and training and youth, but we don't have the remit for the sports ones yet. So if you want to apply under the sports field for these partnership projects, which really are looking at working together with European partners to make it either a change in your organization or build capacity around a certain, maybe one of the horizontal priorities like inclusion, for example. If you want to access that kind of funding for sports directly through the field of sport, you have to apply to the Commission directly as well. So there's a deadline on the 5th of March for these project types. And while we don't have a remit to closely support you, we can send you information. So do reach out to us if you're interested in any of them. And then the next one is there's a lot of funding available through our youth sector funding. So we have a number of actions under the youth programme. And the youth programme, I suppose, is we feel it is relevant to the sports sector. So do consider some of these options if you're working with young people under the age of 30. So say, for example, all of the youth actions include young people from 13 up to 30. And they're under the following action types. So there's youth exchanges, which is literally the exchange of young people between partners, a minimum of 2 in European programme countries. Then there's youth worker mobilities, which really is for youth workers. Really are for youth workers, so they're probably not very relevant to the sports sector. And then there's youth participation activities. So the youth participation projects are really, really good. They're really, really good projects that we do feel would be really relevant to the youth, the sports sector, especially for your sports youth forums in sports organizations. So those project types could be really, really interesting. You can apply for up to 60,000 to really run national only events or to incorporate some international mobilities into your projects with young people in those project types. And then we also have the Discover You Inclusion Programme, which is only really for 18-year-olds. But again, it's a really, really nice project type for people with fewer opportunities. And yes, I will be sending all this information out and links to further information sessions and further project days where you can develop your ideas on these project types as well. So that will all be sent to you after today. But just to say there, the Discover You inclusion piece is really for allowing people with fewer opportunities to travel abroad in a group. So a group from a sports organization, say if you have wheelchair hurling or something like that, for example, in your organization, or like a wheelchair sports group, or another type of group that works with people with fewer opportunities. And if these people are coming to the age of 18, they could apply together in a group of, say, 5 to go on an interrail experience with their sports coach or with their youth worker with them. So it's a very nice project type. So maybe Katie will just move on, sorry. So that's just the details on the program guide. Again, I won't go through it, but we're going to send this on to you afterwards. So we can, that's just the reference pages. So you can follow up on this afterwards. So now getting into the meaty stuff. So how do you contract with Lurgus? Well, there's a couple of ways. So in order to have the correct legal status with Lurgus, you need to be either one of those 4 options below. So you need to be a company by limited guarantee, a public body such as a county council, or like an entity like Sport Ireland, or the local sports partnerships are either run as companies or through their local authority. So they would have they would either be a public body or a company by limited guarantee. So they'd fit under one of those 2. Then you could also be a company incorporated under the Charities Act from 1973. That would give you the correct status, or a cooperative. So we can contract with those 4 types of companies or organizations. But what do you do if you're not one of those? So I'm going to just talk you through what we've come up with, because we know a number of sports clubs and even some of the NGBs don't have are not a company by limited guarantee. So the ones that are, so the most of the governing bodies are companies by limited guarantee, but you can check this quite easily on the companies register website. So the CRO website would have details of who is a company by limited guarantee and who isn't. The sports clubs, a lot of them are not companies. So if you are, that's great, and you can contract directly with us. If you're linked to a recognized sport or physical activity body, so that's the kind of local sports partnerships and stuff. And again, the local sports partnerships, county councils are eligible. And then I suppose I'm going to talk about the next 2 examples in the next slide, so we might just skip ahead. So possible ways to apply there. If you can see there, if you are an NGB, if you are an NGB, you can apply directly to Lurgus, and that's fantastic. You can just go ahead, get on your application, and get on with it and apply through the application website directly to us. If you are not a company by limited guarantee, you have the following options. So if you're a local sports partnership, they could apply on your behalf, like in the example that Katie gave of Portlaoise Soccer Club. You could also get involved with your local sports partnership and other clubs to put together a proposal or an application that would be led out by the local sports partnership. So again, the contracting would have to happen with the local sports partnership. The national governing body then, so they can also apply on your behalf. So they could contract for you. So this has happened for us with the National Flying Disc Association has applied on behalf of one of their members, and that's worked out quite well. So again, though, they could also, what's happened with other NGBs is that they have applied as the lead in the project, but they've involved a number of their grassroots sports in the project. So I think that's another really, really useful project type. Then Sport Ireland have applied on behalf of the national governing bodies who don't have the company by limited guarantee status. So they have very kindly offered to do that service of applying on behalf of NGBs. And they will hopefully continue to do that, but we don't have any guarantee of that continuing. So these are just some options. So we can't guarantee that this will work, but these are the kind of options that we've come up with. So we can go to the next slide, please. So the next step, so we're kind of getting to the end now. So the next steps there are, our deadline is on the 20th of February. And I suppose what you need to do to be able to apply is you need 2 things. You need your EU login. So that's just like your username login for the portal. And you also need your organization, or whoever is the lead applicant, need to create an organizational ID. So there's a whole guide of how to create your organizational ID on the Lurgus website, and the link is in this slide. So we'll send all of this on to you afterwards. Then you need to become familiar with the action. So all of the details that Katie went through, that's how you develop your project proposal. So you need to, I suppose, also check your eligibility. So the types of details I've just gone through, make sure you know where you fit or who you need to apply through if you don't fit directly with us. And then you need to start your application form. So as I said, the deadline is the 20th of February at 11 a.m. Irish time. When we say that's the deadline, if you're 1 minute over that deadline, the commission will just say, no, it's closed. The portal closes at that time. So we really recommend that you start building your application in early January and get it in as soon as you can. We offer support events to help you get there. So on the 10th of January, we have our next project lab. And at that project lab, we'll go through how to develop your project proposal, how to build your project, how to make sure you're starting to link with maybe a partner, and kind of thinking through what you need from that partnership as well. So we develop the whole concept with you, and we take you on the project cycle journey. So you're starting your project really at your project lab. And even if you're not applying in February, you can still attend on the 10th of January to get more of an idea of what's involved and how you develop your project. So I really recommend you attend that event. It's an in-person event in Dublin city centre, and it's free as well. Okay, and that's our team. So our manager is Lean Martin, and she's the head of Youth, Sport and European Solidarity Corps. And then myself, Suzanne, and Katie are the sports team. So you can come to us with any questions at any time. And I'm just going to stop recording now, and we're going to take some questions and answers.